career that began at a time when radio was the heart and soul of the entertainment world. George Harold Haskell, born in Lincoln, Nebraska on July 23, 1917, to George and Emily Haskell. Entertainment was in his blood from the start. Earning as little as $1 a day, George began playing in a local dance orchestra at the tender age of 12. In 1933, he began his radio career as a mail messenger boy at KFOR Radio in Lincoln.
My mother had an apartment house, and people that lived in there, why, they heard, again, me being about 15, that I was looking for a job or something. And they knew the comptroller at KFOR and said, why don't you go see him? And so I did, and I got that job as office boy, or you know, and we had a lot of talent, and I took care of the mail room and stuff like that, you know. But that's about all I did at that point, you know.
While attending the University of Nebraska, George switches radio stations and becomes office boy at KFAB in Omaha.
I was probably with KFOR probably a good 5, 6, 7 years, and then when we were sold, KFAB and KFOR, we could go to either station we wanted to. And I just thought KFAB would be the larger station, and that's the reason I went with them.
A couple of years later, he is promoted to traffic manager and programmer. He pulls double duty until he is inducted into the United States Army on October 29, 1942. The following year, George marries his longtime love and first girlfriend, Virginia May Zimmerman. After his discharge as an Army Administrative Specialist in 1946, he returns to KFAB and is promptly promoted to Assistant Program Director. Things are going well for George, and along with this, his first child is born, Stuart Allen Haskell. He takes on additional duties at KFAB when he is named Public Service Director.
And with all the public service, and you know what that is. I mean, and then we had all the military, the Navy, and the Army, and everything. Well, they wanted all the publicity they could get, and so they'd fly me all over if they're going down someplace, and then they flew me down to Pensacola one time, where our Nebraska group of pilots were learning how to land on carriers. And I went down, and they flew me down there, and I watched that and saw some of them go over the side and things like that, you know. But the public service part of it was fun because you got out and got to do a lot of things, you know. You just sit in the office.
But his duties don't stop there. A beautiful bouncing baby girl is added to the Haskell fold, Julie Ann. Then in 1956, George becomes Assistant General Manager under longtime family friend Lyle Bremser. From here, our story moves west to Scotts Bluff, Nebraska, where George becomes General Manager of KNEB AM and FM and KOLR Radio AM in Sterling, Colorado in 1957.
The people that owned KNEB here in Scotts Bluff heard it and called me. And so I said, well, I'll come out and we're going to Estes. And I said, I'll just stop on the way and talk to you. And so I did. And so that's what happened there. So then I worked with them as general manager of KNEB and KNEB FM. And then I later on bought into it, you know.
Known for his fair, competitive nature, George's dreams come to fruition. In 1970, he becomes president, general manager, and partner of KNEB Radio. For the next 10 years, George continues his passionate involvement in the community and in an industry that gave him his start, only to become his driving force.
One of the nicer things that we had a KOLT radio station here, the original one, was Mr. Hilliard owned it. And then we had KNEB here, you know, and I didn't realize that, but they sent me the letter, and Mr. Hilliard, and we were what you might call really, we should have been mad at each other, you know, or something, but we weren't. I just did my business, and he did his. And he wrote this real nice letter and said how that I paid attention to my business, and I ran a good radio station, and but there was never any backbiting or anything like that, you know, like sometimes there is, you know.
With nearly a half a century in radio, George has become the epitome of a Nebraska broadcaster. His legacy lives on in his two children, both of which manage radio stations today. His life has paralleled the growth of radio from the glamorous days of the past to the chart toppers of today. George Harold Haskell, a man of the times, a man of vision, whose life has guided him to this moment.